Ohtani left the door open. Roberts slammed it shut. No pitching in the WBC for Shohei.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Ruiz. That's Travis Rodgers, and it's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. On today's show, an unexpected World Baseball Classic insurance mess. Frustrating as it is for players, it might quietly benefit the Dodgers. We've got a health check on Tommy Edman as spring training approaches. But first, Shohei Ohtani, the WBC, and what looks like mixed messaging on pitching, but might actually tell us exactly what kind of season the Dodgers are preparing him for, Travis.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into it. Like you said, Harry, we're getting closer to spring training, so it is good time to be a Dodger fan. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel, and if you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win.
You know Travis. He's holding it down weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on the Travis and DeMarco Show on 710 ESPN LA. And if you're outside Southern California or away from a radio, the ESPN LA app keeps you connected no matter where you are. For me, when I'm not calling USC football or Raiders games in Espanol, this is where I lock in, talking Dodgers baseball with you. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. You're in the right place. And if you're an everydayer, you already know why we keep coming back. It's this community you're a part of that keeps the show alive. Watching on YouTube, hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you catch the show, a quick 5-star review goes a long way in helping more Dodgers fans find us. And as always, you can jump into the conversation anytime on the Locked On Dodgers listener line 279-3-LOCKED or 279-356-2533. We kick things off with mixed signals or master plan. Shohei Ohtani and the World Baseball Classic have become the biggest Dodgers conversation of the week, not because of what will happen, but because of what won't. On Saturday, during Dodgers Fan Fest, Ohtani spoke with reporters and left the door slightly open on whether he could pitch for Japan in the upcoming WBC. His words suggested uncertainty, flexibility, and letting his body dictate the decision. Let's hear what he had to say and also the translation from Will Ayrton.
レギュラーシーズンはそうですね、WBC 投げるかちょっとまだわからないですけど、全員そうだと思いますけど、最後の最後まで調整次第というか体の状態を見てそうなるんじゃないかなとは思うので、ただ出ることは決まってます。DH としてはまず準備したいなと思ってます。
In terms of the regular season, yes. But in terms of the World Baseball Classic, I just have to see how my body feels. Continue to just feel the progression and see what happens. So I'm going to be fully prepared as a DH.
Fully prepared as a DH. We would see what his body would say is what Shohei Ohtani said through his translator. Travis, were you a little bit shocked when you heard that? Because obviously the most we've heard is it seems like almost a certainty that he wouldn't be pitching in the World Baseball Classic. That was Ohtani first. We'll hear from Dave Roberts in a bit. But what you heard from Ohtani, did it shock you there?
No, I don't think so. I think that's probably about what I expect from him. Just kind of having listened to him for the last 8 years in the big leagues, you know, him saying he's going to listen to his body is kind of his mantra. He's been remarkably good at understanding what he can and can't do and when he is and isn't ready. You know, everything that we learned about him last year returning to the Dodgers on the mound was, you know, not that the Dodgers weren't obviously involved, they were, but he was the one that was kind of driving the entire thing. Remember, he said, why don't we just do these, you know, these rehab outings in the first inning of these games rather than try to do a simulated game and then try to get ready to go DH and try to do two things on the same day. Let's just do them both at the same time. So he's obviously really attuned to how he's feeling and what he's doing. The fact that he didn't say he's going to pitch leads me to believe that there's at least a chance that he won't. But, you know, I trust Shohei Ohtani when it comes to doing what he thinks he's capable and ready to do. And if that means he's got to back off on the pitching, then I think he will. As far as the hitting goes, no surprise there that he's going to go out there and knock down walls.
So we already heard what Shohei Ohtani had to say to the media. An hour later, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts stepped to the mic and shut that door completely about Ohtani pitching in the WBC.
Well, he's not going to pitch in the WBC, but he will be ramping up his arm to get ready for the season. And I think for me is, I don't know how many innings he threw last year, but obviously with a full off season going north of what he did last year.
How did he take that news that he wouldn't be pitching?
I wasn't surprised. So I can't even say I was relieved. I think that he wants to, understanding what he did last year, what he had to go through, to then how best to prepare himself for 26 to do both. It just seemed like the right decision. So I wasn't surprised and feel really good about it. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was absolutely his call. Whereas Yoshi feels that, he wants to take it on and feels good, and we support it.
Kind of mixed messaging right there, Travis, because there was no hesitation, no ambiguity, no we'll see. Roberts was like, no, he isn't pitching. And that was Shohei's decision. And it's like, wait. Just an hour before that, Shohei kind of left the door open. So I don't know what to think about that right now when he said it was Shohei's decision and Shohei kind of left the door open.
I think that they're not on the same page. I think that that Shohei is probably in his own mind. And I don't, not in any sort of nefarious way or anything like that, but just in Shohei's own mind, he's not going to say no, in the sense that if there's a 1% chance that I may have to go out there and pitch a little bit, I'm going to leave the door open to it. In Dave's mind, he's not going to go do it. I think he's unlikely to pitch, but it's Shohei Ohtani. We've seen him do stuff before. And if he thinks he can, he'll give it a go. So I tend to kind of give it a highly unlikely, but never say never. And by the way, Shohei is going to be in the Samurai dugout, not in the Dodger dugout. He's going to get to make that call in the moment. And not that he wouldn't do it in consultation with the Dodgers, but if it's a big moment and he feels like he can go out there safely and get a guy or two out, I don't know, Harry. I wouldn't be surprised if he gave it a go.
And look, it's ownership, front office, the manager, and then the players. If the players don't follow the orders of the manager, if the manager don't follow the orders of the front office, if the front office doesn't follow the orders of ownership, there's going to be issues. But what is the team honestly going to do if Ohtani suddenly goes out there and pitches an inning or a batter or against two batters? They ain't going to do absolutely nothing. Are you seriously going to bench Ohtani for a week or a game or two? Hell no. So obviously the team doesn't want Ohtani to pitch in the World Baseball Classic, because look at the 2023 World Baseball Classic. He did everything. He started a couple of games. He closed the final against the U.S. That strikeout against Mike Trout, one of the most epic moments we've seen in international baseball. But then long after that, in that season, he damaged his USL. He required a Tommy John surgery and lost an entire year on the mound. You don't want that because of an epic moment in March. That's going to affect your plans in the rest of the season and probably the future, because one more arm surgery, Travis, and we might be thinking, how many years is he honestly going to pitch out of the 8 remaining in his contract? So I feel, and I know what the Dodgers want to do and prefer that happens, but I also understand Shohei Ohtani. So I see those mixed messages. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I feel that Shohei's going to do what Shohei wants to do.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. Number one, I don't think he will pitch the remaining 8 seasons of his Dodger contract. The end of Shohei Ohtani, the pitcher, is out there somewhere. I don't know if it's a year from now, 5 years from now, 6 years from now, but it's out there. Like you said, he's had 2 major arm surgeries. Maybe he could go through it another time. I don't know, but I do feel like, he's going to end his career as an offensive player and not necessarily as a two-way player. I don't think it's anytime soon, but I think it's out there. So the other part is, and I think you're spot on, the hierarchy that you laid out before is the hierarchy for probably every player in Major League Sports, with the exception of 1 or 2. And he's the 1 or 2. If he wants to do it, Harry, he's going to do it. They can't stop him. He is the guy that can do, and thankfully he's not, a reckless guy. He's not going to do something that would intentionally harm the team or anything like that, but they have no leverage over him. They cannot squeeze him. He's Shohei Ohtani. He calls the shots as much as anyone else. They're going to collaborate. They're going to come into decisions together. But if it comes down to, we don't want you to pitch, and he says, I can pitch and I'm going to, he will. And I just, I don't think it'll come to a confrontation like that, but he's going to win those confrontations at this point in his career. He's the, 4-time MVP, back-to-back MVP, back-to-back World Series champion, and he gets to call these shots.
He's the face of the franchise. He's the face of baseball right now as a sport, not only in the U.S., but internationally. So something important, too, that was brought up during Dave Roberts' media scrum was how Shohei Ohtani isn't going to be treated like he was last season, where he was ramped up with 1 inning in one game. Then he grew to 2 innings and 3, and then finally started getting into being the qualified pitcher of games. Now he's going to start, and he's going to pretty much start at the same point where he ended last season. That's why I feel like it's also important in the franchise's point of view that Ohtani doesn't pitch in the World Baseball Classic, that it doesn't hurt any improvement in the way that he progresses during spring training before heading over to Japan. Because it was funny, I heard his interview with David Vassay as well, where he said they were talking about Yoshinobu Yamamoto and how he's becoming more and more popular after that World Series run, and Shohei was like, I can't tell you how much more popular he is in Japan because I didn't go to Japan in this offseason. That shows you how focused he is right now in 2026 and winning it all with the Dodgers. And also, where's Team Japan starting World Baseball Classic group play? In Japan. So he already has that trip already planned over Far East. So best of luck to him. Best of luck to Team Samurai. I know that it's going to be fun, and we hope that somebody with a lot of Dodger players ends up winning the tournament. So it makes it interesting for us Dodgers fans, and also for him, another MVP. That's 1,000% a certainty. A legitimate Cy Young run now that he will be able to pitch starting opening day all the way through game 162. The Dodgers, they want to maximize both, and that's why I feel that they're trying to protect their biggest asset right here in Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, I think the Cy Young thing is the most interesting thing going into this. And another MVP would be bonkers, of course. But, just that.
Both
that's
at the
really
same time, mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's the last thing left for him to do, really. I mean, he's won the MVP, he's won the World Series, he's done 50-50, he's done all these crazy things. Like the last personal accolade that he does not have is a Cy Young, and I certainly wouldn't put it past him. He's certainly capable of doing it.
No doubt about it. And look, in this situation, unless something was lost in translation, what I feel it's unlikely, this isn't mixed messaging. It might be alignment with be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to follow your orders until I need to do this. And then I'll go and help you win a third World Series in a row. All right, next on Locked On Dodgers, let's check in on Tommy Edman, whose offseason surgery turned out to be more complicated than expected, and why his timeline could quietly reshape the Dodgers' early season roster.
It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. We're talking, of course, about Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. So whether you like to back the favorite, the Seahawks, whether you want to ride with the underdog, never do that with the Pats, or building one last same game parlay, this is the game everybody's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from the final kickoff, or should say the opening kickoff to the final whistle. And if you are a new customer, you bet just $5 and you get $200 in bonus bets if you win. So make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season's over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Dodgers with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to LockedOnDodgers.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Tommy Edman, valuable, and right now a little bit of uncertainty too. As the Dodgers inch closer to spring training, most of the roster feels 100% set. But one name that keeps coming up in conversations about flexibility, and contingency planning is Tommy Edman. He revealed at FanFest that his offseason right ankle surgery was more involved than initially expected. What was thought to be relatively straightforward ended up addressing a little bit more, both ligament damage and bone spurs, which naturally complicates recovery. Let's hear what Tommy Edman had to say, and then we'll come back and discuss it.
Yeah, the timetable is more just kind of as I progress, so it's kind of hard to say exactly when I'll be ready to, hop back in a major league game again. As of right now, this past week, I just took dry swings for the first time and then started my throwing progression again. I got the boot off like 2.5 weeks ago, I think, so the last 2.5 weeks I've been working into walking and pushing off it more. I got into like light skipping this week, hopefully jogging this next week. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and each step along the way, it's kind of just being patient and making sure I'm hitting all the checkpoints with no discomfort, and everything I've done so far has felt really good. So I think I'm on schedule with regards to what the typical recovery for the surgery would be.
We are less than 2 months away from opening day, March 26th, for the boys in blue. When you hear that from Tommy Edman, Travis, where it's positive that he wasn't in a walking boot anymore, that he is in his sneakers, that he's feeling better, but he's barely starting to take those steps forward, what does it tell you?
It means that they're being extra cautious. It means that he's going to try to get 100%, which he probably never was last year, especially towards the end of the season. I mean, we saw him 2 years ago, how incredibly valuable he was and how many, NLCS MVP, and seemed like he was in the middle of every big moment for the Dodgers throughout most of the postseason. Last year, that really wasn't the case. He just was not the same guy. And I don't think there's any question that it was related to his injuries. Now, the good news about all of this stuff, and we saw it last year, and I would anticipate that the Dodgers will kind of approach it in a similar way this year, is they have all the time in the world. They don't need to worry about one guy here or one guy there. They can be very deliberate in making sure that their guys are healthy and ready to come back. So Tommy Edman can take all the time he needs. If he's ready, at the end of March, great. If it's the end of April, fine. Shoot, it could be the middle of May or even June. And it's like, yeah, okay. And I don't mean any disrespect when I say this, but whether or not Tommy Edman is in the lineup every day is not going to determine whether or not the Dodgers are winning or losing a bunch of games. They're better with him, don't get me wrong, but it's not like he is their best player. He is one of their very important players, but they have more than enough firepower to cover this. They have more than enough pitching to cover it. They have more than enough offense to cover it. Now, his versatility, obviously very difficult to replace because of all the different things he does, but they can be patient and cautious and make sure he's ready to go, because they don't have to have him ready for opening day. They need to have him at his best at the end of the season.
Look, when they traded for him in 2024, no disrespect, he was damaged goods. He came injured. He wasn't ready to play. The Dodgers were okay with that. They let him recover, and once he was ready, he became a difference maker for the boys in blue. Who would have bet that he was going to be the 2024 NLCS MVP for the Dodgers? Out of that roster that they had, nobody would have guessed that it was going to be Tommy Edman, and he was that guy, or as the young kids say, he was him. And then you go over to 2025, I feel that it was a little bit rushed that he was there for opening day, which we both were there the LA opening day, him hitting a home run against the Tigers, being a difference maker, the Dodgers winning that game and having a great start to the season. But then he got hurt. His timeline got pushed back, and he was never that same guy that we saw in September and October in 2024. So I feel that this right here is key for the Dodgers. If you do it with the likes of Blake Snell, of Tyler Glasnow, of like, hey, getting some time off to be ready towards the end of the season, I see no issue with the Dodgers giving him that time to progress, to get ready before the middle chunk of the year. If it's in April, in May and June, so be it. The Dodgers, look at the production they have from 1 through 6. Yeah, we would love to have 7, 8, 9 to be always at the same level, but Tommy Edman, he will make a difference more. He will make more of a difference if he's 100% when he comes back, without a possibility, which they're always there, of having a re-injury, of going back to that same ankle issue, but let him recover 100% instead of being like, okay, 80, 90, let's go, and then go back down to 50. So I like the way that the Dodgers are progressing with this situation. Would they love to have him up on opening day? Of course, but the goal is way bigger. It's September, October. It's winning the World Series in the early days of November if they go to 7 games again.
Yeah, look, they've done the thing that is virtually impossible to do in baseball, and they have practically guaranteed themselves a place in the postseason. Their roster is so deep, in particular on the mound, and their 1 through 9 is just loaded. There are so many good players that something extraordinary would have to happen for them to miss the playoffs. They're not going to. So they can take their time when it comes to getting players like Tommy Edman healthy. They can take their time when it comes to getting any player healthy, because there's not one guy, even Shohei Ohtani, as valuable as he is and as remarkable as he is, if they needed to put him on ice for a few months, they would, because they can. They don't have to have any of these guys for the entire time, and not many other teams have the luxury of saying that about anybody, much less all of them, and the Dodgers do. It's one of their great advantages is their depth and their patience and their ability to just continue to put guys in a position to succeed at the end of the line and not have to mash the gas early.
Yeah, so while his status remains unresolved, the approach is consistent with how the Dodgers have handled similar situations in the past. Protect the player, protect the season, and trust the depth in the organization. Because if your option B right there, Travis, is having Miguel Rojas, your World Series hero, who is an ace on defense and who will get hot if he gets consistent at-bats and consistent games in the lineup, I feel that the Dodgers are in a great situation. So if Edman's ready, great. If not, the Dodgers, they will adjust. Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, the World Baseball Classic insurance chaos that's knocking stars out of the tournament, and why, uncomfortable as it is, it might actually help the Dodgers stay ahead of the curve. Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rodgers on X and Instagram. Rodgers, just like Dodgers, but replace the first D with an R. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. WBC chaos. Quiet Dodgers benefit? The World Baseball Classic is supposed to be a celebration of global baseball. Instead, this year, the last week, it's becoming a case study in frustration and insurance fine print. Miguel Rojas made headlines this week when he announced he wouldn't be able to represent Venezuela due to insurance issues tied to his MLB contract. And he didn't hide how much it hurt him. Let's hear.
Definitely disappointed. I'm not happy with the way the things are kind of like throwing at us at the last time. I feel like I didn't know that my chance to go represent my country for the first and only time, probably as a player, was going to get caught because of an insurance problem. Even though we know we have to be ready for the season and we have to play and kind of be healthy for our contract, but at the end of the day, we didn't know all those restrictions were going to be in place like the way that they are right now. And my only question is, why it's just with our country, like Venezuela, Puerto Rico? We've seen a couple Dominican players. I don't see that happening with the United States, and we're happening with Japan. And I'm not trying to attack anybody or attack what's going on or seeing what's happening behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, it feels like it's just happening with the players that want to represent their country from Latin America. So a lot of things that I would like to talk about with someone in control and with someone from MLB, but it's really hard to not like have the opportunity to put my country on my chest and having the opportunity to represent them and helping win a World Baseball Classic, and not having the opportunity to do it because I'm 37 years old. That's not right. I don't feel it's right, because if I can still play in the big leagues for the Dodgers, why why not going to play for my team in Venezuela and represent my country? So a lot of things that I could say, but I know we don't have that much time.
First things first, Travis. We cover football, so we know how contracts, you say, oh, X amount of millions of dollars, and then it doesn't end up being that amount. In baseball, you sign a contract for $1 or $700 million, you get every single penny. So that's where this situation's at, because if a player goes out there and gets hurt in the WBC and isn't insured, that's a big liability for the Major League Baseball club. Just look at the example of Edwin Diaz with the Mets 3 years ago. He got hurt. The Mets got every single dime, every penny from that contract because the player was insured. So right here, the situation is if a player has been X amount of times in the injured list, if he's been on the 60-day injured list, if he is 37 years old or older, which Miguel Rojas is about to turn, congratulations to him, he isn't able to get that type of insurance. So that's where the frustration comes right now. I feel that the Dodgers, if they want, they could do an exception like Miguel Cabrera. He had one with the Detroit Tigers when he played in his last World Baseball Classic, and they let him go out there and play. And Mickey Rowe, he's even looking at it where it's like, dude, I might not even play. I might just be on the bench in a Clayton Kershaw situation. So that's where his frustration comes. And I feel it absolutely sucks for him. But for the Dodgers, it's like, hey, we're going to be able to have our guy at spring training every single day with no interruptions.
Yeah, I'm sure anybody that has dealt with their own insurance issues, whether it's just trying to get a bill paid from your insurance company or my insurance company, knowing how frustrating and intricate that stuff can be, and you're never quite sure what's actually going on, and then multiply that by the complexity of a Major League Baseball player's insurance policy and international insurance policies and everything else. I can't imagine what all of that is, and I'm not even going to bother to try. What I do know is that it stinks for Miguel Rojas. That Miguel Rojas getting a chance to represent Venezuela is something I know is important to him. You can hear it in his voice. I know that he feels like there's elements to this that are unfair. It sounds like it from what he said, that it is a little unfair. And it's a drag because everybody that has been around Miguel Rojas, spoken to Miguel Rojas, watched him play, watched him interact with his teammates, this is a pro's pro in every possible way. And that would mean the world to him, and that he's not going to do it kind of stinks. Now, getting him in the Dodger camp every day, yeah, that's great because he's a great guy and he's a very good player. But I really empathize with Rojas and his inability to go, because look at who's going and playing in this tournament. It's the best of the best, and he has a chance to go do it. And because of an insurance snafu, he can't go do it. That's upsetting.
And we started seeing more names pop up over the weekend. Francisco Lindor and Carlos Correa won't play for Puerto Rico. And then Jose Altuve with Venezuela as well. And all three have been done with issues regarding insurance with injury in the past. And that sucks for these guys. And heck, Puerto Rico, their manager even threatened, hey, we might even pull out from the World Baseball Classic. And they're hosting the group stage that they're involved in over there in La Isla del Encanto. So it's like, what's going on right here? It feels like it's something that should have been dealt with more than just less than a week before the rosters are submitted and made official for the World Baseball Classic. And it sucks for a lot of these guys, and some for injury, some for age. And for example, Kershaw, he wasn't going to insured for it 3 years ago. Now that he's retired, now that he's not under contract with the Dodgers, he's like, hey, you know what? Why not? Let me go enjoy another month of baseball with the national team.
Yeah, to some guys, it's like if I get hurt, what difference does it make? Kershaw's the perfect example of that. It's like he's not hurting his team's chances. He's not hurting himself in any meaningful way. It just, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. These other guys have a lot of things on the line. I'm with you. It seems unnecessary, I guess is the best word, that this stuff comes down so close to the start of the tournament. This feels like something that you could have been on top of in December, even in November. Like once the season's over, who's going to be available and who wants to play. And you could at least start doing the logistical, necessities to get these things ready. So, if you have an insurance issue, can you get around it? Is there an additional policy that you can write? And all of these different things. But to your point, Harry, you get within a couple of weeks of this thing starting, and then guys start dropping out because of clerical issues. It's it's hard to wrap your head around.
And look, I'm going to look at it from a Dodgers perspective because there's a cold reality here. Fewer innings, fewer high intensity games, less injury exposure, less traveling, and more time with the Dodgers in Arizona for spring training. So the Dodgers, they already watched a couple of their key contributors say they're not going to the World Baseball Classic. Teoscar Hernandez, Freddie Freeman, Roki Sasaki, Andy Pages, and now you add Miguel Rojas, but not for a reason that he would like to not be in this tournament. It's not ideal. It's not fair. But in the Dodgers' perspective, I feel it does protect their depth from April through October, having this less stress in these players' bodies.
Yeah, my crystal ball is broken. I wish I could see the future and know who's going to stay healthy and who isn't. It's just these guys are baseball players. It's what they want to do, and representing your country would be the thrill of a lifetime. I'm disappointed that those guys don't get to do it because I know what it means to them. But like you said, we're going to see a lot of good players in that tournament, and I can't wait for it to get started. I'm really looking forward to it.
Hey, early March, man. We're ready to watch. Are you going to wake up super early to watch some of Team Japan's games or no? Wait until they're over here in the States.
Yeah, I think I'll catch him in the later rounds. I did my Japan baseball watching last season when the Dodgers opened up over there. I think I'll take my beauty rest. We'll see. If it's an Ohtani or a Yamamoto game, perhaps.
Yeah, same here. Ohtani's going to be more than likely playing every game. But here we go. If Yamamoto starts, we'll make the exception to check it out. We will be checking it out to talk about him here on Locked On Dodgers. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Dodgers. We appreciate you spending part of your day with us. Coming up tomorrow, River Ryan's Tommy John comeback is turning heads. Could he be the top pitching prospect in baseball? We'll break down what it means for the Dodgers. If you like this show, make sure you're subscribed and don't forget to rate and review Locked On Dodgers wherever you're listening or watching. It really helps the show grow. And if you're an everydayer, the Everydayer Club was built just for you. Get Locked On Dodgers ad-free, access to our members-only Discord, and a whole lot more. Head to LockedOnDodgers.supercast.com to join the club. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure your next stop is the first ever 24/7 Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. If you're listening in audio, your second listen today should be Locked On MLB. Travis, a new month, man, February, and we're going to be rolling now every weekday here on the show.
Pitchers and catchers reporting. Baseball's about to start. It's a good time. Football's over, which is a drag, but baseball's here, which is awesome.
Pitchers and catchers report. We have reported since even when the World Series was over. We've been here with all of you, and we appreciate you for riding with us. Until next time, keep it real, keep it Dodger Blue.